Did you ever imagine that a small and ordinary-looking coin like the 1985 USA 1 cent could someday capture the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure seekers across the world because of a rumored value reaching as high as $16 million, a figure so enormous that it transforms this humble penny into a legendary piece of American numismatic history? And as we dive into the story of how such a coin, minted in an era when people never thought twice about tossing pennies into jars, pockets, or even forgetting them in couches, became the center of fascination, you will see how rarity, condition, historical context, and era variations all blend together to create a perfect storm of value, because the 1985 1-cent coin might look like every other Lincoln penny at first glance, but within it lies mystery, the kind that coin collectors dream of uncovering. For in 1985 the U.S. Mint was producing millions upon millions of 1-cent coins composed mostly of copper-plated zinc. A transition that had occurred just a few years earlier in 1982 when the mint moved away from the heavier solid copper cents. Yet in the midst of this massive production, unusual coins began to surface, coins with misstrikes, doubled dies, off-center stampings, and planchet errors that slipped past quality control. And though most of these mint mistakes went unnoticed by the public, specialists in numismatics began documenting them, and as time passed these error coins started commanding significant value at auctions, and the 1985 penny stood out because certain specimens carried features that made them extraordinarily rare, such as dramatic double-die obverse impressions where Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" appeared doubled under magnification, or pennies struck on leftover copper planchets instead of zinc, which created a heavier coin with a different metallic composition, or even those rare instances where the strike was misaligned to the point that only part of the design showed. Each one of these peculiarities added to the legend and mystique, and collectors who understood the scarcity of such pieces began bidding astronomical sums, slowly elevating the 1985 penny into the league of numismatic royalty. But what really makes the $16 million story so captivating is not just rarity but the idea that a coin so common in appearance could hide unimaginable fortune in plain sight, because millions of Americans still have jars filled with pennies from the 1980s, and among those countless copper-coated zinc discs could sit a life-changing treasure, making the hunt not just a collector's dream but a cultural phenomenon that sparks curiosity on social media, in online auctions, and even among people who never cared about coins before. And when you think about the year 1985 itself, it adds another dimension, because this was a time of transition in American culture with Ronald Reagan in the White House, technology beginning to transform daily life, and the economy shifting towards globalization, all of which gives the coins minted during that period a deeper historical resonance. And as stories of rare finds circulated, with people pulling pennies from rolls purchased at banks or stumbled upon in old piggy banks and discovering varieties worth thousands, the mythos of the $1,000,000 penny grew stronger, until it became woven into the broader fascination with hidden treasures, like winning the lottery. But through sheer attention to detail, and in fact the thrill of discovering a rare 1985 penny lies not just in its potential financial windfall but in the adventure of searching, studying, and recognizing the differences that separate an ordinary coin from a multi-million-dollar artifact. For example, one must weigh the coin carefully to determine if it is the rarer copper composition rather than zinc, examine it under magnification for doubling or mint marks anomalies, check its strike for unusual spacing or off-centering, and preserve its condition meticulously, since grading plays an enormous role in its ultimate valuation. And when coins are sent to professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC and receive high grades such as MS67 or MS68, their market worth skyrockets, sometimes beyond what most people would consider believable. And auction houses feed this excitement by presenting these coins under dramatic spotlights where bidding wars erupt between collectors eager to own a piece of history, pushing prices into realms that once seemed impossible for a 1-cent piece. And this is why the 1985 USA penny has become symbolic not just of American coinage but of the wider idea that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary objects, inspiring countless YouTube videos, articles, TikToks, and conversations in online forums, where enthusiasts debate which errors are most valuable, which varieties are still undiscovered, and which coins could one day surface to break records. And while skeptics argue about whether the $16 million valuation is hype, the undeniable truth is that the market responds to rarity, demand, and storytelling, and the story of the 1985 penny is powerful enough to fuel both curiosity and serious investment, making it more than just metal but a piece of cultural mythology, a reminder that sometimes history hides in our change jars, waiting to surprise us. And so the legend continues to spread, growing more viral with every Retelling, capturing the imaginations of millions who rush to check their coins, to weigh them, to inspect them under magnifying glasses, to dream that maybe they too hold in their hands one of the rarest treasures in U.S. history, and that dream is what sustains the fascination, keeping the 1985 penny not only in the spotlight but cementing it as a true icon of numismatic wonder. So the next time you find an old penny from the mid-80s, don't ignore it, don't dismiss it, because it could be the one coin that turns out to be worth more than houses, cars, and even fortunes, proving again that the smallest things sometimes carry the greatest stories. And if you enjoyed diving into this incredible journey of how the 1985 1-cent USA coin reached a face value of $16 million in the eyes of collectors and dreamers, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more unbelievable stories about coins that turned from pocket change into treasures worth big money in history. Next, 2002 D 1-cent coin. Today we are going to unravel the unbelievable journey of the 2002 D 1-cent coin, a simple penny that most people would overlook in their change jar or dismiss as just another copper-plated zinc coin, but in the realm of collectors, enthusiasts, and historians, this coin has managed to rise to a mythical level of fame because of its astonishing errors and mistakes that make it worth an estimated $7 million, a staggering amount of money for something that is supposed to be worth just 1 cent. And as we explore this coin, we will discuss how such errors came to be, why they increased the value of a coin to unimaginable levels, the role of history and minting practices in the early 2000s, and the possibilities that make this coin so rare and desirable. So buckle in as we peel back the layers of mystery surrounding this 2002 D penny and explain why it has become one of the most talked about rarities in modern numismatics, because what seems like a tiny sliver of metal has a story that ties into human error, mechanical failure, minting technology, and the insatiable appetite of collectors willing to pay fortunes for a piece of American history that most people would toss into a vending machine without a second thought. And to truly understand why the 2002 D 1-cent coin has reached this legendary $7 million valuation, we need to step back and look at the United States Mint during this time, specifically the Denver Mint where this coin was struck, and realize that millions of coins were produced in 2002, all intended to be uniform, precise, and identical, yet despite the efficiency of modern machinery, mistakes can happen, dies can crack, plates can misalign, and tiny changes in pressure, temperature, or human oversight can create anomalies that slip past inspection. And in the world of coin collecting, these anomalies, known as mint errors, are often seen not as defects but as treasures because they represent rare 1 in a million or even 1 in 10 million events that make a coin unique. And collectors love uniqueness because rarity drives value, and when rarity meets demand, prices skyrocket. And that is exactly what happened with the 2002 D 1-cent coin, which is known to exist in examples with extraordinary doubling errors, off-center strikes, die breaks, and even transitional planchet mistakes that should never have happened in the highly regulated environment of the US Mint. And when we examine the doubling errors, we find that some coins show dramatic doubling of Lincoln's portrait, the date, or the lettering, "In God We Trust," creating a ghost-like second image that immediately catches the eye of any collector. And such doubling is not mere wear and tear but the result of die misalignment during the striking process, something that requires both chance and timing to occur. And when those coins slip through and make it into circulation, they become holy grails for error hunters. While another type of error associated with this coin involves off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly seated in the collar during striking, leading to a design that is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving part of the coin blank and the other part displaying a warped version of Lincoln's profile. And off-center errors, especially those that are extreme but still leave the date readable, are highly prized and fetch thousands or even millions depending on rarity. And in the case of the 2002 D penny, these off-center strikes add to the mythos of the coin. But perhaps the most fascinating error tied to this coin is the possibility of transitional planchet errors, where a coin intended to be struck on one type of metal blank is accidentally struck on a different one, such as older bronze planchets or foreign coin planchets mistakenly mixed into the production batch. And when such a mistake occurs, the coin not only has the wrong weight and composition but also becomes an ultra-rare specimen. And there are rumors and reports of 2002 D pennies struck on experimental or leftover planchets that were never meant for circulation, which has fueled the valuation of these coins into the millions, because the combination of rarity, historical context, and collector frenzy creates a perfect storm for astronomical pricing. And we cannot ignore the impact of die cracks and cuts on this coin either, where parts of the die itself fractured during use, leaving raised blobs, lines, or missing portions of the design on the coin. and these are often dramatic and unique, with some 2002 pennies showing massive die breaks that create shapes resembling states, faces, or random symbols, and these oddities fuel stories, legends, and demand, further raising the coin's profile in the numismatic world. And while many would say how could a single penny ever be worth $7 million, the reality is that it is not just about the face value but about the combination of scarcity, condition, provenance, and collector psychology, because collectors compete for ownership of unique coins the way art buyers compete for Picassos or Van Goghs, and when two wealthy collectors want the same item, the price can soar to unimaginable levels, and that is why auctions of rare pennies like this one can generate headlines and shock the public, because people cannot fathom how a penny could pay for a mansion, luxury cars, or even multiple college educations, and yet this is the reality of the rare coin market. And when we consider the possibilities surrounding the 2002 penny, we realize that its value is not tied solely to a single era but to the universe of eras it represents, because it stands at the crossroads of mechanical failure, minting anomalies, and human curiosity, and every possible mistake from doubling to off-center strikes to transitional planchets adds another layer to its lore, and as collectors chase these rarities the price only climbs higher, creating a cycle where the coin becomes legendary not just for what it is but for the story it tells, a story of imperfection in a world striving for perfection, and a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things are not the flawless mass-produced items but the flawed, unique accidents that slip through unnoticed, and this philosophy extends beyond coins into life itself, where rarity and uniqueness often determine value more than utility or material, and so the 2002 1-cent coin serves as both a financial marvel and a philosophical lesson. And to fully appreciate its worth we must also think about condition, because even the most dramatic error can lose much of its value if the coin is heavily worn, scratched, or corroded, and this is why mint-state examples of error coins command the highest prices, and reports suggest that some of the most valuable 2002 pennies were preserved in pristine condition, possibly discovered shortly after minting and set aside before they could suffer circulation damage, which further boosts their desirability, and grading services play a role here too, because coins authenticated and graded by institutions like PCGS or NGC carry much more weight in the marketplace, with top-graded examples commanding exponential premiums over raw, ungraded coins, and once a coin becomes certified as a one-of-a-kind mint error, its price trajectory can shoot into the millions, especially when it becomes known within the collector community, creating buzz, hype, and competition, and as we think about the broader implications of this $7 million penny, we realize that it highlights the fascinating unpredictability of coin collecting, where treasure can be hiding in plain sight, sitting in your pocket, your piggy bank, or your change jar, and countless people may have handled a valuable error coin without realizing it, because most individuals lack the trained eye to spot these anomalies. Yet for those who pay attention, the rewards can be life-changing, and that is why so many hobbyists comb through rolls of pennies from banks, searching for errors, hoping to strike gold in the form of a mistruck coin, and the 2002 penny serves as proof that such discoveries are not just fantasy but reality, that a coin worth 1 cent could indeed sell for millions if it bears the right combination of mistakes, rarity, and condition. And so as we wrap this incredible exploration of the 2002 1-cent coin, we invite you to think about the hidden treasures you might encounter in your daily life, and to always stay curious, because the next time you receive change, you might just be holding a fortune in your hands, a tiny copper-plated reminder that accidents can sometimes create masterpieces. And if you found this story of the $7 million penny as fascinating as we did, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories of rare coins and hidden treasures, and join us on the journey of uncovering the secrets behind everyday objects that can change lives forever. Last, we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, rare finds, hidden treasures, and the unbelievable stories behind the smallest pieces of change that can sometimes be worth life-changing fortunes. And today we're about to explore one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history, the 1987 1-cent coin, which at first glance looks like just another penny you might find in your pocket, but certain error varieties and minting mistakes have turned it into a legendary collectible, with an estimated value of up to $8 million in some rare cases, and the reason behind this shocking price tag lies in the extraordinary mistakes that occurred during the minting process, as well as the sheer rarity of surviving examples, making this penny one of the most desired treasures for collectors, investors, and historians alike. So let's unpack this remarkable story in full detail and see why something so small and so ordinary looking can hold such extraordinary value in the Modern market, starting first with the basic background of the 1987 penny, which features Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, a design that has been used since 1909 when Victor David Brenner's design was introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. And on the reverse side of the 1987 issue we find the Lincoln Memorial design that had been used since 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, but what makes this particular year interesting is not the design itself, but rather the surprising array of errors that slipped through the mints and found their way into circulation, and these errors range from double die obverse strikes, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, clipped planchets, wrong planchet strikes, broad strikes, and other anomalies that collectors dream about, and when all these errors are combined with the fact that many people overlook them for decades, it creates an environment where only a handful of true error coins survive in pristine or nearly uncirculated conditions, thus driving the value to astronomical heights, because rarity plus condition plus collector demand equals extraordinary price, and in the case of the 1987 penny, this formula has created a valuation that surpasses the imagination of most people who think of a penny as simply 1 cent. Now let's take a closer look at the most famous types of errors that give the 1987 penny its legendary status. One of the most notable is the double die obverse error, where due to a misalignment in the hubbing process, Lincoln's profile and inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date, 1987, may appear doubled, sometimes subtly and sometimes dramatically, and in the world of numismatics, doubling errors are some of the most sought after because they are visually striking and undeniably linked to a minting mistake rather than post-mint damage, meaning that they have inherent collectible legitimacy, and for the 1987 cent, strong doubling on the date or motto has been recorded, leading to incredible prices in auctions. But even beyond the doubling, there were off-center strike errors where the coin was struck away from its proper center, sometimes leaving part of the design missing or showing a blank crescent of the planchet, and the more dramatic the off-center strike while still retaining a visible date, the more valuable the coin becomes, with extreme cases commanding tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in the most unique examples, values soar into the millions due to sheer rarity and market demand. Then we have clipped planchet errors, where the blank metal disc punched from the coin sheet was cut incorrectly, leaving curved or straight missing portions on the final coin, and collectors prize these errors especially when the clip is dramatic and obvious, and for 1987 pennies, multiple clipped planchets have been recorded, sometimes with double or triple clips, making them particularly appealing to specialists. In error coinage, another fascinating error linked to 1987 is the wrong planchet strike, where a penny design was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a dime or foreign coin blank, and because planchets are fed into high-speed presses, occasional cross-contamination can occur, and in 1987, a small number of pennies struck on copper nickel dime planchets or foreign coin planchets are known, making them extremely rare and valuable, since they stand out immediately due to their size, color, and weight differences, and these oddities are among the most prized finds in the hobby. Now beyond the technical details of minting errors, the story of the 1987 penny is also about human fascination, because what captivates collectors is not just the error itself but the mystery of how it slipped through, how many survive, and how many may still be out there undiscovered in jars, piggy banks, and old rolls of coins tucked away in attics, and this element of the unknown adds a sense of adventure and treasure hunting to the pursuit, because every time someone picks up a 1987 penny and examines it closely, they wonder if this could be the multi-million-dollar piece that changes their life, and in fact many famous numismatic stories begin with someone casually examining change and stumbling upon a fortune, and the possibility that the next lucky finder could be anyone fuels ongoing excitement about coins like this, and the more people talk about these rare varieties, the more demand increases, creating a feedback loop where rarity plus hype pushes prices even higher, and for the 1987 cent, this has led to incredible auction results and private sales where lucky owners have secured millions for what was once considered pocket change, and of course condition plays a massive role in the valuation, because error coins found in mint state or proof-like condition with full luster and minimal wear are exponentially rarer than those that circulated heavily, and collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay premiums for coins that not only showcase the error but also sparkle as if freshly struck, and professional grading services add to this by certifying and encapsulating such coins, giving buyers confidence that the error is genuine and the grade is official, which in turn increases value, and when you combine error type, rarity, condition, demand, and story, you have all the ingredients for a multi-million-dollar coin, which is exactly why certain 1987 pennies have reached the legendary $8 million valuation, But beyond auctions and collectors, these coins also serve as cultural artifacts, reminding us of how even highly automated systems like the US Mint can produce anomalies, and how human fascination with imperfection can transform mistakes into treasures. And the 1987 penny is also a case study in how the market for collectibles works, because its value is not intrinsic in the copper-plated zinc metal but in the narrative, the rarity, and the willingness of collectors to compete for ownership. And this is why coins like these often outperform traditional investments in terms of growth, as each record-breaking sale attracts more attention and higher bids in future, and the legend continues to grow with every retelling, inspiring both seasoned collectors and newcomers to search their change with fresh eyes, because the idea that something worth 1 cent could secretly be worth millions is too alluring to ignore, and it fuels a worldwide treasure hunt where the prize is not gold bars or jewels, but a humble penny with a story. And as long as collectors value history, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt, the 1987 1-cent era coins will remain at the pinnacle of numismatic fascination. So as you can see, this coin is not just money, it's a piece of history, a piece of art, a piece of luck, and for a few fortunate individuals, a life-changing fortune. And that is the story of how a 1987 1-cent coin, riddled with unique mistakes and minting errors, has become worth up to $8 million, so make sure you always check your change carefully, because you never know when a penny in your pocket might actually be a treasure chest waiting to be discovered. And if you enjoyed diving deep into this story of the 1987 penny and its incredible journey from 1 cent to 8 million, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends who love fascinating stories of hidden treasures, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content where the smallest details turn into the biggest surprises.